Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the TMZ Podcast. I'm Charlie Cotton and today I'm joined by prenup expert Derek Kaufman.
Don't have one myself, but I know a lot about them.
Oh, you don't have one yourself?
I don't want to get too personal. You don't need it when you have true love like Mary and I have.
How'd you wriggle out of the prenup? You're gonna
How'd she wriggle out?
Okay.
Who's wriggling out? I was a man of about town, a big-time firm lawyer. I needed to protect myself.
Sure you were. So, I mean, we're obviously going to talk about Britney and her prenup so that Sam apparently might not get anything. We'll also finish by talking about Raquel Leviss from Vanderpump Rules. We got Lisa Vanderpump out. We talked to her all about it, and apparently Raquel might not be coming back.
Yeah, I think the nail's in the coffin, but we'll get into it.
Britney Spears. Apparently, the prenup that Sam and her signed leaves him with no payout and no spousal support. This is bad news for Sam.
Well, you would think he has no leverage, right? He signed a prenup, and she's advised by good attorneys and good counsel, Matt Rosengart among them. So I'm guessing that all their I's are dotted and their T's are crossed. When there's this much of a disparity in power, you have Britney Spears, a huge celebrity, and Sam Asghari, not a huge celebrity. I'm sure they had him represented by counsel to make sure when he signed it, he couldn't later say, oh, you shoved this in my face and so forth. So I think it's probably on all fours and going to stand up in court. However, he's been married to Britney Spears for more than a year. She's erratic. We even see that on Instagram. So he knows the behind the scenes of what goes on in Britney Spears' life, which I'm sure is quite colorful, to put it lightly.
Right.
So he has this information that he's sitting on. Now, the prenup, though, has a confidentiality clause. All of them do, and I'm sure this one is really tight. He's not allowed to talk at all about their marriage or what goes on with Britney Spears.
He can't talk, but stories can leak.
Stories can leak, and one big thing that we know are their allegations of abuse, right? There's an allegation that while he was sleeping, she attacked him physically. Now, what that means is he could go to the cops because that's not breaking a confidentiality agreement. You can go to the cops and file a police report. You have not violated anything as long as you're not going out and telling the world Britney Spears hit me. If you could tell cops to resolve something.
And then the media would find out.
And then it's public information and media organizations can go to the cops and law enforcement sources can tell them what went on potentially. So it could get out that way. And she knows that and he knows that. And so what he has is a little bit of leverage to get some money because to fight the prenup will cost Britney Spears money to defend it, right? If he lawyers up, she'll lawyer up, and all that gets paid is the lawyers.
We love that.
We love that because
that.
Everyone fights and fights and fights. Nothing really gets resolved, but we get paid the entire process.
To be a divorce lawyer, man.
Oh, man. It's a good racket.
It's something that you know that the world will always have. Death, taxes, and divorce.
That's it. There were the three certainties in life. But what Sam can do is go to her and say, look, the lawyers are going to get rich off us. Let's just you cut me a quick check. No lawyers, and I'll walk out of your life. And that's what I think Sam is maybe angling towards doing. I don't know.
Also, if there's a court case, and you're right, if supposed crimes have been committed, then the confidentiality clause is invalid almost, where you're saying a crime that's taken place. So, Britney, would be a threat overhanging Britney that all of these secrets that she knows what the secrets are probably.
She knows that he knows.
Right, that if this goes to trial or if something happens in court, all of these secrets might be divulged. So maybe we're better off just paying him now and telling him to shut up.
Yeah, that's what happens. Settlements don't mean that she is absolutely did something wrong. They're just a way to move on with your life more quickly than a huge public spectacle trial. Remember, she just got through the conservatorship where she was, talking to the judge and crying and so forth. And that was embarrassing for her, for everyone involved. She doesn't want to go through that again,
no.
I imagine. She's got her freedom back. She's worth millions of dollars. She might have to cut a six-figure check to sort of resume her life. It could be more expensive. I don't know. The thing that I think this will resolve. I think this will resolve because Sam seems pretty sensible to me, even though she is kind of erratic. You need two to tango, and I think she's got good advisors who are going to say, Britney, we know you're hopping mad and you maybe attacked him in your sleep, but let's calm down and let's think about the future where you want to dance on your pole, if you want to spin around. We can get back to that. We just got to resolve this.
Right. Well, I mean, they've been officially splitting up for 2 days. And already we've got so many kind of stories that she wouldn't like having been sort of leaked, or Sam's told someone who's told someone else. And, then the media's found out, she hooked up with this staff member who works in her house. supposedly there's video of this interaction, but
According to Sam.
Sam
is saying that I've got compromising video of you hooking up with a staff member. That is Sam's position. And this is no mistake that you're hearing all this along with the prenup stuff, because he's giving it a little taste of how bad things could get, right? Like, here's day 2, and already we've got like, hey, I've got a compromising video of you with the pool guy. Like, she wants to stop the bleeding. That's what we say. How do we stop the bleeding?
Imagine if your wife, Derek, if you didn't have this, because you don't have a prenup, you said at the top.
Right.
So there's no confidentiality clause. The things she must know about you.
I know, but if she said I was hooking up with someone, I'd be like, oh, preach. Tell the world that I got it. I'm walking around the house and all the people love me. No, yes, I would not like Mary to talk. I'd like Mary to sort of keep it down.
Keep it down.
She knows a lot of my dirty secrets.
And the way she'd keep it down is by getting you to sign a confidentiality clause with a check. You know what I mean? That's what Sam wants. He'll sign that sort of like, I'll keep my lips closed.
Yes.
If you cut me, how much do you think he will get out of this? Like, what is he shooting for? I don't know. How much is she worth?
I think the initial ask is going to be astronomical. He's going to probably shoot the moon and ask for millions of dollars, knowing roughly what, we've reported on her worth coming out of the conservatorship was around 60 million. I think we batted that number around. We thought it was kind of low, actually,
that feels
for who
low.
Britney Spears is. Nevertheless, to Sam Asghari, that's a lot of money. So if she's got anywhere near that, he's like, hey, maybe cut me off 5. I think the beginning ask will be very high. I think he will probably land somewhere in 6 figures. I don't know, 500,000, 300,000, somewhere in that range.
300,000?
Now, I don't know.
Pennies.
You think it's pennies? But it's good. It's good. Remember, she has a prenup, and she's probably going to win that battle. And at some point, if he asks for too much, she says, wait, I can pay my lawyers, let's say $200,000 to defend this thing, and then you get 0.
Right.
So he has to be careful, because I think the prenup is probably good, so he can't overshoot his goal here. Now, here's what I find interesting also, taking a broader step back, is prenups, this is a good reminder, are only worth the paper they're written on. They have to be enforced. Everyone's saying, oh, once you sign it, you give up all your rights. True, and it could be valid, but everyone always has leverage. It's just a piece of paper.
Loopholes.
Yeah. We talk about this with TROs. It's like, okay, I got a TRO. Now I'm saved from this weird harasser or stalker. No, you're not. It's just a piece of paper.
Right.
If he decides to defy it, he defies it. And then he's like, oh, he could be taken to jail. Some people don't care about going to jail.
Yeah.
So, Kevin Costner's wife has a prenup. She doesn't seem to be all that bothered by it.
That's
So, yeah, look, contracts are contracts. They get violated. Leases get broken. This is what law is.
I'm just surprised, if he's going to end up with, let's just say it's 300,000.
Yeah.
I mean, he put in 6 years of hard work. You would have thought he'd expect to get a bit more. You're
calling it hard work. What about love? He put in 6 years of loving his girlfriend and then wife.
I never bought it.
That's the problem.
Did you ever buy it?
I don't know. He was her trainer for a little while, right? And sometimes you develop a...
No, they met on a music video clip. He was like a...
So did K-Fed.
He was a vixen. Was that K-Fed as well?
K-Fed was a dancer.
Oh, a choreographer. That's right.
Yes, that's a fancy word for he was a backup dancer.
Yeah, right.
I remember K-Fed was like, I'm a choreographer. I've seen you just doing your moves. Anyway, so you also come up with the moves? Cool. K-Fed, do you think K-Fed loved her? Because I do. There was something about their romance and their relationship that seemed very sweet and genuine, because he loved dancing, she loved dancing, she was this little starlet. Yes, he was less famous than her, but he didn't seem like grubby about it.
But she spiraled a bit more since then, don't you think?
Yeah, she's difficult to imagine wanting to be with long-term because of the mental issues.
Well, I know, and that's what Britney's family is saying now, that Sam married a wounded, woman, and he knew that, and then now that times have gotten tough and it's not that fun being married to Britney, he's wanting out, whereas marriage should be for life, in sickness and in health. This is what the family is saying. Britney's mum is saying, why don't you leave LA now? Come and move back in with me.
Come back to Louisiana. Maybe we can calm this all down and go back to our sweet life. I don't think you can turn back the clock. She's Britney Spears, man. She is so globally famous that the idea of her going to Kentwood, Louisiana and living on the ranch again, it's over. And I know
she likes attention too much.
She loves attention. She's a creature of it. I mean, more of Britney's life has been spent famous than unfamous. If you think about it, she gets famous around when she's in the Mickey Mouse Club. She's 17, 18. Yeah. Now she's 40 something probably, or close to 40. So, more of her life has been this. She can't go back to that innocence. It's just not going to happen. I think it's very, very sad to see this all spiral out of control
It
again
is.
because everyone was nervous about the conservatorship, and he was the last tether to kind of reality. Even
Mm.
if you didn't like him doing cannonballs in the backyard, you were like, okay, at least Britney's okay. You know?
One last question, one last happy question.
Yeah.
Has there been a sadder, lonelier, big star in recent memory? Like,
That's a good question.
Britney
where
right
you're
now-
just thinking about her in this big mansion.
Britney right
with
now
nothing.
Britney right now has just got
No
nothing
support.
and no one, and I can't think of any celebrity who's just been such a.
It's a good question. I mean, I guess there's some members of like old Hollywood who were like very sad at the end of their life. Mickey Rooney was just like, a subject of elder abuse and stuff like that. This guy was a huge star, but I can't think of anyone at this stage of her life where she still has so much life left to live.
Yeah.
At the end, sometimes it gets very depressing. All your friends die, your spouse die, you could be lonely, but she's got a long road of loneliness. I can't think of anyone who's at that level. You know?
I hope she finds somehow new chapter and a new passion of some kind.
Yeah.
Because, at the moment, she's at a low point. On to our next story. Raquel Leviss.
Rachel
Leviss.
Call her by her government name. That's what she wants.
That's what she wants now. Raquel is the Vanderpump Rules version of her. Rachel is this blossoming angel coming out of the ashes.
The Phoenix.
The Phoenix. What did I say?
Angel coming out of the ashes. It's okay.
Yeah. She is not coming back officially to Vanderpump Rules. This is so interesting because she's like the breakout star and then some. Like, she is the show to most of us. And if she's not coming back, I'm not going to tune in.
We've been trying to figure out what's the truth here because a lot of like she's holding out for money. She's still working on her mental health. Who's the one person who can definitively answer, is Rachel going to be in season 11 or not? The EP, right?
Lisa
Let's go to the
Vanderpump.
big dog.
Lisa Vanderpump. Here's an interview we got with her yesterday.
Her team kind of texted and emailed us. We wanted to make sure she was in a good place first. Yeah, I was going to do like a one-on-one with her,
And she made it clear that she wanted to come back.
Well, she talked about it. The team reached out, but in the end, I think she decided not to,
Well,
The cast don't really, they don't really believe anything she says. So there's no point in her.
This is fascinating, right? I love Lisa
There's
because
no
I think
point. There's
she's
no
so
point.
cagey. She's setting up the counter to your argument because you've been screaming in the room. What's the point of watching this show without Rachel? Cancel the show. There's no reason.
Right.
She is the sole source of conflict that makes the show interesting. Lisa's setting up to say, we don't really need her because you have someone who's so uncredible that they don't want to interact with her. There's no good that can come out of having her. This seems like she's rationalizing not having Rachel rather than
Yes.
happy about it, though, right?
Yeah, she went on to say basically that the reunion tied up all the loose ends.
Mhm.
She said
We're all done here.
That's basically what she said. She says the story has concluded.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I don't agree. I think that the show's gonna fall off hard.
You may be right, but at another point they ask her, like, don't you need her for your show, for ratings? And Lisa says something I think pretty compelling. She's like, the show was a success long before Rachel. Remember, Raquel wanted to come on the show because it was such a phenomenon.
Right.
She was like a fangirl of Vanderpump Rules and wanted to insinuate herself in their lives and then like bang out Tom Sandoval and
Bang
give
him
herself
out.
a storyline. But the show did exist. I remember the Jax years. Do you remember the Jax years? It was a thing.
I do, not fondly. Like, that was when we were just like,
Yeah.
this show stinks. I mean,
Now it's huge.
now it's huge, but I don't think. What was I going to say? I don't think.
You don't think it can survive without her?
I really don't think it can survive because the show was successful before her because it wasn't about her.
Right.
Now the show is about her. It won't be able to survive without her.
Let me give you the flip, though. You say the show can't survive without her. Can she survive without the show? Because I think they're both interesting questions and why they should have just come to a meeting.
I think she can survive without the show, but she'll need to play her cards right. Like, she'll have to pick the correct next venture because people will watch the first 5 minutes of whatever she does next.
Right.
And that first 5 minutes better be good. Her first sit-down interview was with Bethany Frankel. That is, the 3 parts have come out over the last 3 days. I did not think that was a good look for her. I think that was a misstep for her.
Why?
Because it didn't show any accountability, really. It was just basically a puff piece. Bethany Frankel, by her own admission, doesn't watch Vanderpump Rules. She also is pretending, I think, to be a champion for Raquel, the victim, whereas Bethany is doing exactly what she is saying Vanderpump Rules is guilty of. She is saying Vanderpump Rules exploited Raquel. Look at that 3-part reunion special where they trashed her. You're doing a 3-part podcast special where you're running ads.
She's capitalizing on the moment herself.
She's doing exactly what she's blaming Andy Cohen and Lisa Vanderpump for. She's a money-grubbing hypocrite.
Yeah, well, by promising Rachel, I'm going to give you a platform to say your side. This is what we need to hear, even though we've heard it in the one-on-one with Andy. This is also the big issue I have with Rachel. So I heard the first part with Bethany Frankel, and I don't think there's a whole lot there that is interesting about her. She's not a fiery villain. No. She's a little bit soft. She's a little bit touchy-feely about her emotions. She doesn't seem particularly smart. I'm sorry to sort of people say this about her on the show already. Ariana seems to run circles around her in terms of these arguments. So that's why I don't think she's a villain who can carry a show alone. You look at Nene, they gave Nene a shot in acting. They gave Bethany a shot with a talk show because these were huge figures with big personalities, quick on their feet. She doesn't have it. She's a player on a reality show. She should have gone back to the reality show.
She won't go back to that one now.
It's too late.
The die is set now. But she's a villain without that sort of confidence in being a villain.
There's not enough.
She's an insecure sort of villain. Yeah, she
does villainous things. What she did was fascinating. Don't get me wrong. Sleeping with Tom for 9 months behind Ariana's back. The actions were fascinating. Her ability to talk and sort of explain or really lean into villainy or justify her behavior sucks. She's not good at it.
No, she's not. And she's claiming right now that she's in debt. She's saying that she's got no money. And so she's going to need to find some other work opportunity.
This is what I don't get. If Lisa gave her $361,000 after Bethany said you were making what interns made, Lisa Vanderpump came out and said, "Oh, really?" Because she made $361,000. She gave a number, which you rarely hear.
In one season, she made that's
before she was super famous.
And so imagine what they're offering her to come back. At least double, triple that.
Yeah, let's say 500. It's a massive amount of money. I mean, we throw around. We work in around entertainment, so we think of millions as being the only amount of money that's livable. But hey, $500,000 a year, that's a lot of money. That's more than a lot of lawyers make. She could have had a source of income that was very steady from doing her thing on Vanderpump Rules, and it sounds like she just walked away from it. I don't know that she has a plan B.
No. Well, we'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure either. I'll be watching whatever she does, but I'm not certain about her future success.
You had the best idea. Put her on The Bachelor. I think she can be in a vehicle where she is desired by a bunch of guys and sort of floats around and sleeps with a bunch of them or whatever she does. Because like I said, I think her actions, if she goes off to the honeymoon suite, what's it called?
It's called a fantasy suite.
The fantasy suite. I apologize. If she goes off to that, I'm watching, dude. I think she's compelling in her behavior. I think she's less compelling as a vocal.
They don't have cameras inside the fantasy suite. You just see the door closed.
They got to update it. Do it on HBO.
All right. I like that idea. All right, Derek, thank you for joining me, mate.
All right, man. See you next time.
And we'll catch you here next week.